Okie dokie, my artichokes. We are going to start with the wood shed area. That's the wood shed. Lord knows it's got a whole lot more than just woodshed crap in it. I mean to tell you, my beloved is as much of a hoarder as I am. I'm not going to say that all this stuff is his. I'm going to say about 70% of it is his. But he's smart enough to kind of back off when I'm in. Look at this. Don't you love this? I bet there's some waffles in there, you guys. Old waffles. Just in case he's out here sometime in the winter and gets snowed in and needs some food. Well, he'll have some petrified waffle to eat. Oh, Lord. All these rocks that you see need to be included on this wall. Mike's been building this wall for me because the water, when it really rains, it rushes down off of this hill right here, right down into my house. So, since we've put this much of it up, we haven't had that trouble. So that's been cool. So anyhow, here's a long shot of the other side of the shed. So there is obviously a lot to be done. Incidentally, I'm going to rip this thing down and I'm going to back it up about 10 feet up onto that hill. And it will be considerably narrower because it's just going to be for firewood. We're not going to keep junk back here. And this whole area is going to be open again so that we can drive through, and also so we can park the Airstream back here because we will be refurbishing that for our trip around the country next year. So you want to see something cool? Old railroad lights. I have 2 of them. Aren't those neat? Yep, got them from my grandfather like everything else. And there is method to my madness back here because everything is going to be put in a pile as according to its purpose. Like that is a chicken brooder, so that's going to go in an animal pile. I've got some rusty hardware, which doesn't go into hardware. It actually goes into crafts because I'm going to make something out of it. Then you see I've got some gorilla racking there. It's going to go inside. All of this, well, it's old fence lumber is what it is. It's not barn lumber. It's old fence lumber. I started collecting this stuff before it got popular. I have got a shit ton of it. I'm not kidding you. This is just one little bit. This is the stuff that I'm going to power wash and use as walls in my bedroom, or as a ceiling in my bathroom. I'm not sure which. There's a little pile that goes to the burn pile. One of my peeps asked a really good question. She said, why don't you just compost your weeds? Well, I do, actually. I compost a lot of stuff. But there's just I don't have enough room to compost everything that we end up with. I mean, I end up with 2 huge burn piles. But I do have a solution to that, and the solution is that I let the animals down in towards fall, and they'll eat anything grassy. They'll eat it right off the burn pile, and so our burn pile becomes quite small. That's the soapstone that goes on top of this soapstone stove. I had this stove over at my commercial building, but when I put it for sale, isn't that beautiful, that old stove, blue soapstone, gorgeous. And I got an offer, and we went into escrow. Well, I pulled it along with some other stuff. Well, it fell out of escrow, so here it sits. But I will find a good use for it. This is just something funky that was lying in some guy's backyard, this old oil stove. And I painted it pink, and it'll end up adorning some corner of my life. I've got a lot of work to do back here. I've got to get real screens made. This needs to be trimmed out. The door needs to be replaced, painted. This side of the Franken fence needs to be rebuilt permanently. Most of this stuff is that I'll show you here. Most of this stuff it's either junk or automotive, so it will either go in my junk pile or in an automotive pile. I've got some oil there that is hoarding. I refuse to let him hoard oil any longer. It's going to the hazardous material waste dump. And so here you'll see, here's a long shot of my kind of my organizational staging area for everything that's coming out of the blue container, which is the one to the right. And so I'll give you a little tour of my organized Okie piles. Okay, this pile here, this is all decor items, stuff that I'm going to hang on a fence or take into my house and use. It's just decor, basically. This is camp supplies, camping supplies. I've got tents and camp stoves and all sorts of stuff up under here. More to add to that pile. Over here is Christmas. I love me some Christmas decorating. And this is just a small bit of what I've got. Most of what I have is actually in the brown container. So this has to be edited heavily. And over here we've got my son Nick's stuff down in here, and then I've also got blue jeans. I save blue jeans. I never throw them away. I have quite a few pair of Levi's 501s that I've saved, and then other just off brands. And the 501s I'm going to wash and repack because they're actually valuable, and everything else is going to end up in a craft pile. Here is restaurant supplies. I'm going to have a second segment for restaurant supplies. This is just stuff that I'm not quite sure where it's going to go. A lot of it's going to be given away, so I'm putting it there. That is a wine bottle drying rack, and inside that black container is more of my wine making supplies. Over here you'll see some of my musical instruments. Part of my drum set's there, and some amps and cymbals, and my little pork pie throne. I've got two of them, but I really like that one. I love these drums. These are awesome drums. They are Yamaha Maple Custom Absolutes, and they cost me a fortune back in the 1990s, but I'm glad I bought them. My magazine collection, part of it, you'll see I've got a lot of magazines actually that's from the 1970s. I have a lot from dating all the way back to the 1930s. So those will have their own spot. I won't take them in the house. I'm going to leave them outside. This is just my manure spreading wagon that I inherited from my dad with some metal decor on top. You'll see here are a bunch of twigs, and you say to yourself, well, what are you doing with those twigs? Well, if you will remember Abigail's little pot that I made a skirting for, I'm going to do the same thing, only this is going to be a window shade. So I have to make two that are this length. This is like 3 foot length, and they'll be about 4 feet long or so, and I'm going to hang them on the outside of the house in front of windows to kind of cut the light on the west side. I have some of my beer light collection right here. I'll show it to you. This sparkling champagne, I bought that for my dad for Christmas a number of years ago. And then this is his Black Label beer, take it home. And this Olympia beer, he got that in later years. The Black Label is quite old. This one's not so old. And I've got quite a few more. Those are just 3 of them. So I'm going to back up again so you can get a different view. So those are my staging areas. Oh, I know. This table, and under this table, this is all glassware. Antique china and so forth. I bought a whole bunch of this particular style, and then I've got quite a few different styles. I've got a lot of these things. Well, kind of see in there. What these are those little luncheon sets people used to have. They have a little compartmented tray-like thing, and then there's often a little coffee cup or teacup that goes with it. Back when women did garden parties, they would use those for serving. This is one of my mini punch bowl sets. Now let's take you over to this side of the brown container. The brown container is all about hardware, paint, fasteners, tools, and so forth. So I'm just throwing stuff that belongs in that category onto this pile. Then everybody needs a couple of transmissions lying around. I mean, shoot. I don't need to explain that now, do I? And this is what we call the concrete pad, because it's not a shelf yet. I mean a shed yet. So on the concrete pad are many examples of broken, useless things, like engines that will never run again, tires that are all burned off, tire chains that we have no idea what they fit. This all Grant's welding supplies. Lots of toolboxes we inherited for free from people. Hey, I don't want this. Let's give it to Grant and Cheryl. They'll take anything. Boy, they're right. All right. Then again, more automotive crap up here. Just junk. Oh, here's one of my pride and joy things that I might grab if we had another fire. This is my rolling ladder. I inherited it from the printing company that we used to run. I love my rolling ladder. I don't think I've used it once, but one of these days. And then this is Grant's pride and joy, his F-250 that will probably never, ever leave this spot until one or the other of us dies and it has to be hauled off by a junk man. But it represents hope. And if you can figure out how to bottle hope and sell it, you can become very, very wealthy. I'm not even going to get into what's down there, because I don't have a freaking clue. It's just junk. Oh my God, look, there's a freaking swamp cooler. I didn't even know we had that. Oh shit, that's got to be installed. I'm not going through another summer like this without at least 2 swamp coolers. So anyhow, needless to say, most of this junk back on the concrete pad is just junk. So, I'm going to walk over here. Oh, look what I found for Abigail. My dear friend Bella, who has moved from Merced to Washington, gave me this marvelous Croppin style craft thingy. It's in excellent condition. So I'm going to hit that with the air sprayer and take it off to Abigail when I see her the next time. The herb garden's not looking too swell. My elderberry bush is struggling. I don't know if it's even going to make it. I should probably cut it all back and just keep it watered. I've got a bunch of sage over there that's doing okay. It's not doing great, but it's doing okay. Then on this side of the blue container, we have, let's see here. Hey, Cogswell. Hey, Sambo. Hi, Lily. Oh, the dogs found a nice cool spot to lie underneath the sage. How sweet. This is actually a drainage ditch that's dry this time of year and makes a little ponded area in the winter. Across there, you're going to see our stage that we use when we have musical events that's got some junk sitting on it. Most of it's got to go away. And I'm going to take you underneath this magnificent old live oak. I mean, this is a treehouse tree if there ever was one. But if I'd ever put a treehouse in it, I'd be real careful because we're losing oaks in this area rapidly, so I wouldn't want to compromise it at all. So anyhow, I've been staging garbage cans on this side. Got some rebar. Everybody needs rebar. Everybody needs 3 or more non-working wheelbarrows that need to be fixed. Back here to the back of the containers, you will see a lot of construction material. I have concrete block. I have rolls of wire that's used for reinforcing like large concrete pads and that sort of thing. Got a lot of concrete block. I've got brick. I've got some fake stone that we're going to do something with. I have a lot of tile. This is just a little bit of quite a bit of tile. I've got to bring the rest of it back here. I've got some pier blocks. I've got some glass block. And a really useful shelf that's on its side that's going to probably end up inside the container. Fencing. I've got some more fencing over here. I've got a lot of T-posts down there. And this is that old style fencing we found at my grandfather's. I brought it. I think I'm going to do something with it. Here's beautifully rusted chicken wire. Beautifully rusted. For craft projects, of course. Then I've got some field fence here. For not much of it, but enough to do some patching when we need to. And this thing, this is a big ass plastic culvert. It's about 4 feet tall or so. And I had this great idea, dig a big hole and use this as a cache for stuff in the ground, because I have a prepper's heart. Here's my tiny little 1,500 gallon water tank, which really needs to be replaced with a 5,000 gallon. I'm going to take you back here. This is the lower pasture. The lower pasture has a lot of automotive stuff in it, trailers, Nick's boat, all Grant's bike stuff, a yard trailer back there, a utility body, the leaky shell that came off of my car when I took my trip last year. It's the beginning of the lower pasture burn pile. Then this is the I'm not quite sure what to do with it. We will sort it out later pile. So that's that. Now we're going to walk back around and finish our tour. I've got a lot of pipes that I have held on to for God only knows why. Here, lots and lots of pallets and dimensional lumber. There's a lot of OSB that needs to be thrown in the burn pile there. You'll see over here quite a bit of tin siding and roofing and aluminum, galvanized, all different types of metal. That's only part of it. I've got more. Again, I told you that I've been hoarding fence boards for years. Well, here's the balance of them. And I actually gave away and burned 10 times as much as I've got now. And this is all fence posts primarily. Then just dribs and drabs of this and that lying around. I've got some gates, some decor items, some of these deals that went around barrels. Got an ancient old shopping cart or buggy, depending on where you are in the United States. I've got a gate with a horseshoe on it. I thought that was cool. And more T-posts, more long. That's actually barn lumber, that long dimensional lumber right there. Took it from my dad's. Okie pile of Grant's needs to be cleaned up. Over here I've got the beginning of my pile of lumber that I'm going to take to Abigail's house. She needs stuff for making this and that for her chickens, so anything I think is useful. She's also going to be making a raised bed or two. So anything I think she might be able to use, I'm putting it off to the side. Now let's see here. We're going to finish it up. A lot of fasteners in here that are primarily rusted. Pile of junk that needs to be thrown out. This is the deck to one of my farm trailers. Needs to be rebuilt. This is just old, but I'm going to use it sort of as a guide to rebuild it. There's Nick's car that we have to sell to Pick and Pull. Some chairs, a little table, one of those old-fashioned hampers. All that stuff is going to end up neatly piled in my brown container. Okie dokie, my buddies. I do believe I have shown you the magnitude of what I have left to do, because whatever's left outside is going to be neatly piled. We're only going to keep the stuff that we might use like imminently, not like 10 years from now when something breaks. And And so yeah, so this is part of why I haven't been on YouTube a lot lately. I've been outside working. I felt awful yesterday. I'm feeling kind of bad today. I wanted to come out and shoot this video. I think I'm going to go back inside and lie down now. Leanne Live is heading to a town here in the valley today, and she called and asked if I wanted to join her, which I do, but I think just after this little walk I've done out here, I'm going back to bed. So, I will be going to visit her fairly soon, within the next 3 weeks, but probably about 2 weeks from now. So, that's everything that's going on with me. I hope all of you guys are managing to stay cool, and you're feeling happy and productive, and if the black dog of depression is sitting at your door, go get your shotgun and blast that guy into oblivion. I will see y'all later. Bye.